Welcome back to the SBS podcast. Obviously, much to cover in this episode as this past weekend, DeShaun Foster was let go as the Bruins head coach. So a lot of narratives running around on social media about the state of UCLA football and where it ranks as a head coaching job moving forward. So all of this needs to be addressed, and it is on this episode. The SBS Power Hour for the Hotline makes its return as we hear reactions from the New Mexico meltdown as well as the aftermath of the DeShaun firing from Bruin fans all across the country. And then we close out the episode with our top head coaching candidates that we'd like to see pacing the sidelines in Pasadena come 2026. That's all coming up next on the SBS podcast. What a few days, man, let me tell you.
Whirlwind.
Yeah. The end of a situation that obviously, and almost everybody knew it, should have never taken place. I think we can all agree that that was clearly a mistake. And I mean, I feel like, unless I'm not remembering this correctly, when it was announced, like everybody was like, this is going to last 2 years, 2 or 3 years. And never once throughout that entire time did I feel like it was ever going in a different direction. This was always going to happen.
Yeah. There was maybe the one time that I had a slimmer of hope was when we started to see a couple of recruits start to come in that 2026 class. And, there was like, okay, this is a little different. But on the field wise, nothing different. So had to be done.
And just to recap, Sunday morning, UCLA announced DeShaun Foster was relieved of his duties as head coach after 1 season and 3 games, finishing with a 5-10 record, going 0-3 in his shortened final season, which might have been the ugliest 0-3 any UCLA fan could have possibly fathomed. Final straw being a 35-10 just dismantling at the hands of New Mexico at home to add at the Rose Bowl, which, guys, I think we can all agree that should not have been even nearly that close.
That was a blowout.
Yeah, 2 turnovers by New Mexico inside the 5. Would have been close to 50 points by New Mexico on the Bruin defense.
49-10 was very realistic.
Yeah, and this was a game that it wasn't even really an option. Not an option. It just wasn't a possibility for UCLA to lose, really. I mean, we thought maybe the spread might be a little iffy. But, I mean, it was just you looked at the schedule and like, okay, well, they'll go 1-11. But here we are, and we're looking down the steaming barrel of 0-12 because that was hands down the easiest game remaining on UCLA's schedule. They now have to go on the road to Northwestern, which is not a good football team, but it's a road game. They're going to be playing. Is that Eastern time zone?
Central.
Central. Okay. Well, they're still going on the road. I mean, if they can't beat the worst team they were pegged to be the worst team in the Mountain West, or at least the bottom 3. If they can't even be within sniffing distance at home against one of the worst teams in the Mountain West, then I don't know where this confidence is. There's plenty of it still being, we can still win the Northwestern game. I don't know where any confidence is coming from that they can compete with a Big Ten team of any kind.
I mean, you give up 298 yards on the ground to a Mountain West team. I think that's the stat that jumps out to me is damn near gave up the same amount of rushing yards. Or New Mexico had 298 yards. We had 326 yards total. They had 298 on the ground. So that's a Mountain West team. We just talked about it. Why are we looking forward to the Penn State game? Like, I don't even know what these teams are going to do to us.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, and this might be outdated, but I think UCLA is the only 0-2, or the only 0-2 team in the Mountain West, including Mountain West teams. There's no teams in the Mountain West that are 0-2 against the Mountain West. It's just UCLA. But yeah, it's just the worst part for me about all of this. Well, I don't think any UCLA fan wanted to see this happen in the first place with DeShaun because he's on my Mount Rushmore of UCLA running backs. He might even be on some people's Mount Rushmore of UCLA football players. I mean, he's all-time Bruin, nice guy for anyone that's met him. I met him a long time ago, but he was very nice to me when I was just a high school kid attending one of the UCLA football camps. Great guy, loved by the players. All-time Bruin, but should have never been given the opportunity to be the head coach. I don't blame him for taking the job. I don't think anybody really blames him for taking the job. I mean, the money is It's life-changing. What was his total payout? I think we paid him $7 million to...
Yeah, somewhere between 6 and 7 million. I was like 6.5 or something.
So you hate to see his legacy be tarnished. I don't want to feel too bad for the guy because, again, it was his decision to make, and he got paid very handsomely to do it, and he did a very bad job at it. So it sucks, but it should have never happened. And, obviously wish Voss the best moving forward. But despite that, dude, I think the worst part about all of this is just, I'm sure you guys have been on social media in the last several days.
We're getting fucking clowned.
It is a fucking onslaught, dude, whether it be the night of the game with the clowning from, what was it, the Big Sky?
Big Sky.
That's when I was like, okay, this needs to end. We're getting, they had like almost 100,000 likes on that tweet from the Big Sky.
Yeah.
I'm like, this needs to stop. Like, this needs to stop, like, tonight. Fire him tonight.
The Big Sky, just about every college football account that's out there, I think. Friday night, there's only, 3, 4, a handful of games on. So,
right.
Everyone's up watching. It's the late night game. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad and continued into the hotline voicemails. We got a lot of very familiar calls Friday night.
Well, dude, the clowning didn't stop with New Mexico. It might have even gotten worse after Foster got fired because, anytime a Power 4 head coach gets let go, it's a big news story, and the national media has been all over it. And just the bandwagon right now to label UCLA as just unequivocally the worst job in America, and that is actually at least worst job in the Power 4 is what I'm reading. And that's just such recency bias, just dishonest bullshit. Like, is UCLA a job with plenty of challenges? Obviously. Absolutely. But it's just this national trend now to be either ignorant or like simply pretend that UCLA in recent history has like literally never once shown a commitment to seriously investing in football. And this is, might I add, this is the same program that as recent as 2019 gave Chip Kelly $5.4 million as a food budget that he insisted he needed, because he needs to prove he's Mr. Sports Science. And that was 1 year after he won 4 games in his first year. Well, we paid him $5 million to do that and execute maybe 40% of his fiduciary duties as head coach. So, and why I'm talking about this is I'll give one thing I'll give Chip Kelly. That guy has a lot of friends in the national media, man. They love him. I don't know why or how that came to be, but this revisionist history from countless outlets online about how Chip basically ran from this like unwinnable situation. Meanwhile, what actually happened, anybody that's either a UCLA fan or just pays attention, what happened is he basically cratered the program. It was enabled by Jarman, by the way, for that to even happen. Then he bolts. And now his failures, dude, are just completely veiled by the national media as these inherent flaws of UCLA as a coaching destination. And the public just fucking eats it right up because most of these people on Twitter, dude, they live in flyover states. They already hate LA. They already hate California. And this is just their wet dream, man. They're just piling it on. And now UCLA fans are the ones that have to deal with this shit. Josh Pate today. Did you guys follow Josh Pate? He was saying that most coordinator jobs are superior to UCLA. And I'm just I
saw that.
You're just hopping on a bandwagon, dude. Or you're just buddy with Chip Kelly and you're trying to cover up for that motherfucker. You're going to say that making, what's a top coordinator making? Max $1 million? Some maybe $2 million.
Yeah.
1.5, and that's at top jobs. Mm-hmm. Let's say UCLA pays $6 million for the next head coach. Let's call it that. I hope they do. Anywhere from 5 to 7, sure. You're going to say that making less than $1 million at a coordinator position is superior than $5-6 million at UCLA just because of this I just thought Josh Pate was better than that. Guys like him, but it's everybody.
Anything UCLA right now, I'm just saying like it's clickbait. Like we're the biggest thing to laugh at. We're the biggest thing to mock in all of college football. And like anyone that is a writer and I feel like all the headlines that I've seen, like the one you just mentioned, Ross, like anything for clicks right now in regarding UCLA is just so easy to get for the national media. Dude,
and that's the worst part about just like this day and age is that clicks is just how these guys make money. It's just like the era of clickbait. So I said it on Twitter today. Like, I think Josh Pate's a really smart guy, but this is his job, and he's running a business. I don't know who he works for, but like, he has a job to generate clicks and engagement, and right now that is the thing to do, and it's to pile on this UCLA shit. But what I think is the most unfair is that, like, UCLA football's history did not start in 2018, dude. You know, like, I picked that year in my note because that was the last year, or that was the first year, I should say, that UCLA's attendance dipped below 54,000. 54,000 is the capacity of Autzen Stadium, which is, you know, home of the best fan base in the West Coast, according to everybody. Until we were like well into the Kelly sabotage of UCLA, Bruin fans were turning out numbers that would still otherwise sell out Autzen Stadium. And they get that just you don't see that brought up by anybody that's not a UCLA fan. And that's for a stadium that's an hour away from most of the people that are going there, in a city flooded with other forms of entertainment. You know what I mean? Like, context matters, obviously, and UCLA fans just get none of it.
And you go as a program as well, like you said, Ross. We've been churning out NFL talent even in the midst of this basement years, you know, since Chip Kelly was hired. You know, number of first rounders, second rounders, third rounders. You could turn your TV on any Sunday, and you'll find a number of UCLA players on both sides of the ball. It's so unfair.
And that's during the NIL era, because there's this big distinction being like kind of drawn where it's like, well, UCLA used to have its natural advantages, but now those are completely erased in the era of NIL, and NIL is what made UCLA this bottom destination. But like, to your point, UCLA has churned out plenty of NFL talent in you know, top 5, top 10 in draft years, in putting guys into the league. Not to dwell on this Josh Pate thing, but like he also said in his comments that Tulane is a better job than UCLA. I'm like, what are we doing? What are we fucking saying, man? Like,
it's clickbait and trend writing. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, really tough time to be a UCLA fan. I mean, normally when a bad head coach gets let go, it's kind of like a cause for, you know, relief, and you don't want to celebrate when a coach fails, but it's like, okay, we're moving on. But I would say most Bruin fans, and I wouldn't find myself in this camp, but most UCLA fans are still just like, this firing means nothing because Jarman is still the AD. So I think that's fair. Like, I totally get Bruin fans that feel that way, but like, the way I look at it is, when is the last time UCLA has made a firing decision this quickly? I mean, this was like
3 games.
A season and 3 games into the second one. I mean, that's pretty bold.
Power 4. I want to go beyond UCLA. I can't recall a Power 4 school making a decision that's without, like, you know, like a Jerry Sandusky sort of thing. Happening, being like, yeah, we're just going to fire a guy 3 games before conference play even starts.
No, that's a great point. And I think, yeah, it's not good that Jarman is still at the helm. There's not a single supporter of UCLA athletics that thinks that he should be. I'm surprised there's no talks of him maybe stepping away from this.
Voluntarily, you're saying?
Yeah, he'd step down. And I don't think I guess I feel kind of bad because, like, I don't think he's like a bad person. No. He's just horrendous at his job.
Did you guys watch, did you guys just read the transcript from his press conference yesterday? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, you're going to make me want to take back what I said about him being a good guy. Because
zero accountability, deflection.
Because deflecting and cowardice aren't signs.
The whole thing about how the hiring is many different people's hand. It's not just one person. Like, what?
Well,
that is, crazy.
Assuming that's the truth, then he's like exposing himself as a completely weak and ineffective AD.
Yeah, and then prior, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 questions prior, he was asked about Chancellor Frank and like how he believes 100% in him to do the job, and you know, those are the conversations that he's had, that he's the one that's going to be running with this. It's just so I was pulled in so many different directions when reading through that transcript.
Well, he took no blame for the hiring of Foster and took full credit for firing him, is what I took away from that. I mean, he took the easiest route possible when kind of reflecting on the whole Foster experiment to make himself look as good as possible. He said, well, the decision was made by a committee and there's a lot of stakeholders, completely neglecting because he brought up the timing. Oh, the timing was tough. Martin, why was the timing tough, dude? Why was the timing tough?
And then he deflected on that too, and he said, well, there was a bunch of people who we didn't want to fire Chip at, you know, in November or right after the season, Yeah. And it's not just me.
But then when it's time to fire Foster, he's claiming that was his decision.
Yeah, dude's full of shit.
He's full of shit. So, again, I don't want to take personal jabs at people that are trying to do their jobs. But, yeah, that a total lack of accountability and, honestly, a bit of cowardice is it's worth calling out for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the guy who comes out of all this, honestly, the most on top right now is the new chancellor.
Absolutely.
Is Julio Frank.
100%.
And that was kind of what I wanted to get at, was I get UCLA fans being like, well, why is this guy our AD? And I'm like, sure, that sucks. He shouldn't be. But it's looking like UCLA's got a chancellor that might be serious about this stuff. I mean, we knew that he had a history with the $100 million investment into the Miami program, and he was there, completely turned that program around, which was very similar to UCLA, whether it be the off-campus stadium, a program that was big at the turn of the century but is now completely washed. He is responsible for turning that around. Now
they're a national championship contender.
Yeah, and now he makes from what I've gathered is that he played a massive role.
He hired Mario Cristobal. Yeah.
Well, no. I'm saying he played a massive role. In contrast to what Jarman said, taking responsibility for the Foster hire, he had a massive say or played a big role in firing Foster this quickly. So assuming that that's true, I mean, that's compared to Gene Block, I mean, that is a complete 180.
Yeah, totally. And the one thing that I, have gained from following not just UCLA but college football and college sports all these years is that when you have new people come in, whether it's an AD, whether it's a coach, whether it's a chancellor, they want their guys. So the incumbent people in those positions have a bit of a shorter leash than if they were their guys. So you got to assume the seat is burning hot under Martin Jarmond from Julio Frank. I know the Bruin community has voiced their, people are emailing, people are calling the chancellor's office. School hasn't even started, and this guy is already making moves. So shout out Julio Frank.
Yeah.
Hopefully he keeps it going.
Yeah. The only kind of disheartening thing to take into consideration is that never once in UCLA's history as an institution has it fired an athletic director. And that just kind of gives such state school vibes, just kind of bureaucrat, sit in the seat for as long as you want, walk away when you want to. You have to believe that this situation might be a bit different because, dude, people hated Dan Guerrero. But I could say with confidence, it was never like this for him. It was never this much of just a collected, united front of fans where there's not a single supporter out there. And now you've got the emailing going on, the letters that are inbound. It's just there's no way Frank is not at least considering it or putting it on the table by, let's call it year's end.
But I mean, nothing has ever been this bad, right? You think about UCLA football in its entirety. When losing 2 games back-to-back weeks to Mountain West schools, losing one of them by 25 points when it could have been even much worse. I don't think I've ever seen a point in UCLA athletics history of any program, really, to my knowledge, losing to Mountain West schools like this, let alone the most important sport at the entire institution. So it's nice to see just the hammer being put down and saying enough is enough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the clowning online sucks. You got to put up with it. UCLA's done itself no favors, but I do think that there is some reason right now to be a bit hopeful. I know that sounds ridiculous given the last 3 weeks and what probably lies ahead, which I don't even want to get into. But I do think that this decision, whether Jarman was fired or not, is a step in the right direction. And I'm sure that there will be callers on the hotline that'll disagree and agree with that. But I'm not going to call this week a complete loss because actions were taken. Well, on that note, are you guys down to switch to our third Hotline Power Hour? Shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Keon, you're on the ones and twos, brother. Who are we starting with?
We're going to start with Urban from Canoga. And before we get to Urban, we had 54 or more calls. So obviously we couldn't include every single one of you guys, but we appreciate everybody calling in and leaving us their thoughts. And we hope to feature you guys in an episode soon. So here's Urban.
100%.
Yeah, it's Urban, Canoga Park. Man, just lost our words right now. I'm not understanding this. Turn around and it's another score, 35-10. Just crazy, you know what I mean? What's going on here? Both sides just lost. This season is done. It gets worse with Penn State coming up and going to Ohio State. This is the worst football I've seen in a long time.
He brought up Ohio State and Penn State. That was my biggest takeaway from Urban's call. Thanks again for calling, Urban. Those two games are... Can we keep them from scoring triple digits?
Will we have enough players? Will we have enough players, or will they hit the portal?
Yeah, that's right. It's open for them.
If any enemy fans ever get a hold of this soundbite, we're fucked. I'm fucked. But just, I wish there was a way to just forfeit the rest of the season. If is that? I know that's so soft, but just players are gonna leave or. What is the fucking...
We're getting nothing out of these games.
And who's Tim Skipper? I'd never heard of that name in my life. And he's our head coach now, guiding us through Columbus and Penn State and a few others.
The third hardest schedule in the country.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Urban. Let's move on to Blake.
What's up, guys? It's Blake. My first voicemail sucked, so now I know that this one's going to be better. I think the main problem is just... I know that DeShaun Foster was put in a really shitty position from the start, but it just seems like DeShaun Foster is very lackadaisical. You know, like, he's not an intense coach that's going to get in somebody's fucking face and tell them, hey, you fucking suck and this needs to get better. Like, he seems like he's very passive and just like, oh, okay, that happened, but we'll improve from here.
Okay, let's pause it right there because, this obviously was recorded before DeShaun was fired. I don't want to say much more about DeShaun because he's not our coach anymore. What I will say is this is on that note from Blake. Yeah, DeShaun we knew he was a quiet guy. So the reason I even bring that up is because that's one of my biggest things for the coaching search. We need a guy that, personality has to be high up on the list of the criteria when we're searching for a head coach. We're building from scratch and we're looking for money. We're looking for people to get reinvested. So I know football and winning games comes first, but just on Blake's note with kind of that downside to DeShaun, that needs to be completely flipped. Let's move on to Ethan from Temecula.
Holy fucking shit. This is terrible. Are we serious? I'm here, Ethan from Temecula, California, and dude, UCLA football. Like, I've been following this account since I was 10 years old. Secret Bruin Society all the way. Basketball season's coming up because, my God, our D-line, O-line is just awful. And I know, Ross, I don't even know what to do. I seriously don't. We've been moving this RV, season ticket holders. My grandma pays for 4 tickets every single season, and I don't know what to do. 20 years old now. There's nothing we can do. We're going to have to fire Martin Jarman, and that's all we can do. 0-12 season coming up. Here we go, boys. Rally around.
Hunker down, dude. You know what being a UCLA fan right now reminds me of? Keon, I know you've seen The Sopranos. Kyle, have you seen The Sopranos?
No.
Remember when well, this isn't for you, Kyle. Keon, remember when Tony, like, he's already losing a bunch of men. New York's like whacking a bunch of his dudes, and they kind of hunker down in that like safe house. They're all just kind of sitting around with their guns on their laps.
Yep.
I kind of just want to I want to rent like a shitty house and just invite a bunch of SBS followers. Let's just sit around with guns and wear leather jackets.
have some like cured pork and play cards.
Yeah, like it's like the Germans are flying overhead right now. Let's just. But dude, fucking Ethan from Temecula, longtime follower of SBS. Appreciate those guys the most because we've certainly taken on many different forms over this journey from when I started it as a shitposting meme page back in the summer of 2019. Shout out to Crown City Tire, which is where I was working the register or the counter, working the counter at Crown City Tire. Obviously wasn't paying attention doing my job because I was making memes on my brand new, shiny brand new meme page, the Secret Bruin Society. Thanks for calling, Ethan. We're moving on over to Kyle from Arcadia.
Hey there, this is Kyle from Arcadia. Dude. Whoever took and getting parlayed Lobos plus 16.5. Probably the best pick of the week. I mean, it was pretty much free money.
Okay, pause. First off, that was my pick.
Yep.
Yeah.
And second, I'm so disappointed because I remember listening to this. I don't know why I did not put 2 and 2 together. It was Kyle from SBS.
No way.
I was like, damn, someone actually listens to Getting Parlayed because that's typically when viewership just falls off a fucking cliff. And B, they liked my pick when I am easily the weakest link in Getting Parlayed. So I'm actually really disappointed to hear that that's just fucking you.
I don't. I feel like this doesn't sound like me.
It doesn't sound like you. That's why
it doesn't sound like you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Strange.
But people should listen to Getting Parlayed because we gave 2 winning picks.
Exactly.
I think I fucked up, right?
Yeah.
How does Oregon not win by 28 to Northwestern?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for calling, Kyle from Arcadia. Oh, God. That brings up our next caller. Let's hear from Bojangles again.
It's Bojangles again. Man, I had like 9 tequilas in the first fucking part of the game. And now I had another 9 tequilas. I'm on 18 tequilas, Bruins. You look what you do to me. My wife left. She didn't even watch the game with me. I haven't talked to her since last week. Fucking Lobos. You Lobos, you got us. You stupid coyote. This fucking sucks, Llama Llama. You crazy motherfucker. You're terrible. I don't know what we're going to do this season. Oh, man. Let me tell you, Bojangle is not doing good.
Should we do an episode where we bring on Bojangles and just have him break down his entire financial situation? Like, I'm curious what his what the divorce settlement is like, how he became who he is.
He's really had a heavy past 3 weeks. I mean, ever since the start of the season, Bojangles has really been going through it.
I'll tell you what. If midway through the season we stop getting calls from Bojangles, I'm going to put out like a wellness check. All right. Switching over to unknown caller from Sunday at 11:12 a.m.
I just want to say first and foremost that this is not entirely DeShaun Foster's fault. He was put into a no-win situation by Martin Jarmond, and at the end of the day, that is who needs to be gone. Jarmond needs to be fired subsequently. Apparently, I heard that he is not involved in the head coaching search moving forward, and that I think the admin or someone else is going to be handling it, which I think is a good sign that he's going to be gone. But Jarmond needs to be gone. He put DeShaun Foster in this no-win situation. His decision-making has ultimately screwed this program, and he's probably ruined the UCLA fan base's perception of a legend and as someone who loved the program. I hope eventually Foster can come back around, maybe in a GM role. That's what he should have been hired as, because a GM role is basically to scout, recruit, and promote the brand and the program, which is what Foster was best at doing. As for my coaching shortlist, I really don't know. I'm going to be outlining and say, fuck it, let's get Urban Meyer. Let's see if we can bring Nick out of retirement or something. But I really don't know who we'll get as head coach, because I don't really know who will be available. I mean, if Kalen DeBoer gets fired, let's go after him. I will gladly take whatever Alabama has going on with DeBoer. Yeah, I just think at the end of the day, I feel bad for Foster. He loved UCLA, and it was unfortunate that Jarman put him in this no-win situation and set him up for failure. And at the end of the day, Jarman needs to be fired immediately, expeditiously, and as soon as possible.
Okay, I agree with 90% of it. I would never want DeShaun in a GM role. I think that's basically what he was in just now. When, you mentioned selling the program and recruiting. I just don't think he's a guy to be doing that. But that's besides the point.
I agree that we need a GM, though.
Oh, we do need a GM, but I think here's the word. It is a good sign that Jarmond is reportedly not. I guess allegedly. There's no official reports that say this, but it's just kind of, the word that's on the street is that Jarmond isn't really going to play a role in this coaching search. Okay, yeah, that's good, but we're paying the guy $2 million, and now we're just assembling some Avengers committee to find us a head coach when we're not rich over here. The whole narrative is that UCLA athletics bleeds money. What a waste of money to pay that guy $2 million, and he doesn't even. It's not even his responsibility to take care of the most important decision that one can make as AD at UCLA, and it's hiring the next football coach.
It's not his responsibility to do his responsibilities.
Yeah. So, like, that's like, well, then just fire him in that case. Like, then what are we doing? He's just the Olympic sports guy? That's great. $2 million for that. That's wonderful. For a former track guy here, you don't need to pay the guy that runs the Olympic sports $2 million. They'll run themselves. Just let me run around. That's just
Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer, yeah.
Nick Saban, Kalen DeBoer.
I think of the big fish names that you might see floated around. I mean, you see Lane Kiffin. You see, what's another big? I mean, I see John Gruden. None of those are obviously ever going to happen. But I think of the big fish names that get floated around, I think Kalen DeBoer would be maybe the most realistic.
Well, that hinges on him getting a $70 million buyout.
But I think that is possible.
That could happen, yeah. That could happen.
So, I mean, let's assume that happens. I think that's maybe the one that makes the most sense. And, he clearly was committed to the job on the West Coast with Washington, so...
and Fresno State.
Yeah, I guess anything's possible.
I proposed this to Keon last night, but I would completely disagree with that. If Kalen DeBoer were to be fired from Alabama, I would not want him to run the UCLA football program because you have all of the resources at your disposal. You have, every player in the country that wants to go to Alabama. How in the hell could you fail at a school like Alabama?
But what's failure? They're going to probably make
2 losses.
Yeah, dude. What was their record last year?
I'll pull it up.
And you got to also remember, Kyle, you're holding Alabama to the standards of their 2012 dominance, whereas the SEC now, they all have fucking money now, dude. And all those teams now can compete with insane levels of talent. So,
9-4.
Yeah, he won 9 games, and look, no, that's not great for Alabama standards, but I think that the playing field, especially with the Big Ten and other programs in the SEC, I just think it's a lot more difficult to just dominate like Alabama once did. So
but I feel like if you're winning 9 games at Alabama, that's 6. We're back at 6-6 at UCLA, or 5-7.
But you can't just. I don't think you can just write off what you did at Washington. You've made a national championship with the West Coast team. I think Washington is Washington and Michigan are the 2 schools that I always point. I look to. I'm like, why can't we be that?
I was gonna say Washington would be the school that I think why can't we be that? Yeah. So, I mean, I think for me, I don't know if we're transitioning into the coaching shortlist here, but for me, I think Jed Fish would be a great UCLA football coach. And I know it's almost his dream. He wants to be the UCLA football coach. He raised his hand when the whole debacle happened with Chip to, he even took an interview and he pretty much had the job at Washington to be the UCLA football coach. He's obviously been here in the past, got LA ties. And I think he is a great recruiter, and he's a fiery guy. He's still young enough. He's got that passion behind everything. So that would be my pick. I sort of went back and forth with Jonathan Smith too. How do you turn Oregon State into a winning football program? That's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
But I think for me, just being a West Coast guy, what he did at Arizona was incredible, and that was all recruiting.
I think the statement it would make, just for the sake of saving our reputation of just poaching a sitting head coach
from Washington
would be
3 years. Yeah.
What now? Clearly that UCLA still has a puncher's chance. Because I thought it was the worst job in the world, but apparently Washington's sitting head coach is willing to say, I'm out of here. I'm going to be UCLA's guy. So just for that sake would be great.
I think Jed would be the most willing, sitting head coach right now to get up and leave their current program, just due to the fact that he loves Los Angeles and he's wanted in the past. It's no secret. He's wanted to be the UCLA football coach.
Yeah.
So
I've seen a lot of Jonathan Smith. Somebody just mentioned him right now.
Yeah.
The only issue with that is it's been he's been there as long as DeShaun was at UCLA.
I hope this is his first year.
Second year.
It's his second year. So that'd be maybe a pretty, because UCLA, it's certainly elements of it. It's a tough sale right now. and he's just getting acquainted at Michigan State, which I don't think is a great job, but like it's not. I mean, it's a Big Ten program that's seen success in the past, and right now they have a bigger support base than UCLA. It's more active. So that might be a tough pitch. I think the best thing about this whole situation is that UCLA now has 4 months to get their pitch together, get a quality, realistic shortlist, and speak with donors and have a real fucking plan when it comes to money. I mean, obviously coaching salary needs to be competitive, but no coach in their sane mind is going to come to UCLA without some type of NIL plan in place. And I think that strike while the iron is hot these next 3 months. And that was a very quick turnaround from that New Mexico game to getting the $7 million to buy out DeShaun Foster. So,
Yeah.
and we've seen things like this happen in the past with, when we beat out Florida to get Chip Kelly. Like right now is the time to get an NIL package in place, get a salary package in place that's super competitive. And then I would say if you have a convincing, compelling enough pitch, go after Will Stein at Oregon.
That was going to be my name.
That's my guy, man. I mean, I love that he's 35. I mean, it's that Sean McVay formula.
Yep.
Dan Lanning kind of. I mean, this guy works directly under Dan Lanning. I want a young guy that all he's known is like a Dan Lanning type football program. I hate to meat ride Oregon, but I mean, what's there to hate about Oregon?
Riders back.
I mean, I will, as a UCLA fan right now, trying to get back to just relevance, I would
give me a Dan Lanning blueprint.
I would do anything to have that culture in UCLA's locker room. And does a great job. He's calling plays.
He's making Dante Moore the 5th betting odds for the Heisman.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful? Same with Joey Aguilar is probably going to be in that discussion soon. But yeah, sorry, Keon. I didn't know who your pick was going to be. Sorry to poach it like that. But that's my pick.
I have 2 guys who we haven't mentioned. I brought one head coach, current sitting head coach, and one non-head coach. For the head coach, I thought if we could poach PJ Fleck from Minnesota, he was in the discussions last year. The only reason I've chosen him is having years of head coaching experience in the Big Ten, knows how to recruit the Midwest, and he is a very raw guy.
Yeah, that's true.
He is the opposite of DeShaun in that when PJ Fleck goes in front of the media, whether it's during games, media days, interviews, whatever, he is very well spoken. And you see those videos of Minnesota running back to their locker room. He's crowd surfing the players after a win. So he creates that culture. That's the reason I picked him. Although Jed Fish is my number one, I just knew there was going to be overlap. And then as far as non-head coaches, this was a name that was thrown out. I've seen it a couple of places, not too much. It might be a stretch. Is Glenn Schumann, the Georgia defensive coordinator, who has been waiting in the wings for a big job. And this could be it.
Yeah. That would
similar to Will Stein.
I know we were kind of shitting on Josh Pate earlier, saying that everyone UCLA wants as a coordinator, and that coordinator position is better than UCLA's head coaching job right now. I would say right now, though, the Georgia defensive coordinator thing, that'd be a tough position, not from a money perspective, but just that'd be a tough position to walk away from to go take on the challenges of UCLA. Right. But when you first said PJ Fleck, I was like, Keon, come on, dude. Initially, just because I'm like UCLA right now, like let's swing for the fences. Mm-hmm. But being realistic, I think you made some great points. I mean, we just said that we wanted the Mick Cronin equivalent in football. They look alike, and they have similar vibes. Guys. And like, I don't think PJ Fleck would be the guy to bring UCLA to even really the playoffs, just from his head coaching record. But that's not really like the objective, right? That sounds terrible, but right now it's just rebuilding the program and getting people re-engaged and reinvested. And yeah, if you took Minnesota's locker room and put that at UCLA, I think that whole culture would bring a lot of fans back, assuming that they're relatively competitive. And 8 wins or so, which I think he can do. I think he'd be able to get better players to UCLA than Minnesota, of course. But no, I don't think that's. I hadn't seen that really floated around. I'd be for that. He wanted it last time around. We haven't really talked much about Tony White. Tony White's a guy that if he was given the job, he would take it in a heartbeat. Just from sources. If he was given the UCLA job, he would take it. And that's not really like much of like an insider leak. I mean, it was known that he wanted the UCLA job, even during that February hiring cycle that Jarman put himself in. He just wanted his own staff, and Jarman just couldn't find a way to make that happen because of the extensions. I think he's a great defensive coordinator, and I would be happy with the hire. Although I kind of want to remove the entire former Bruin thing completely. You know,
that's my biggest thing.
I would hate to go back to back with former Bruins after the debacle that just unfolded.
Yeah,
like let's bring in a total foreigner to get their spin on this program. You know what I mean?
Not the Europeans again.
Let's get a Frenchman to run this program.
I feel like for me, I'd really like a sitting head coach. For whatever reason, I think just what we just went through with a no prior. I mean, this was the extreme. No prior coordinator experience and no prior head coaching experience. I would definitely be okay with a coordinator under a Dan Lanning or under, coming from a top 5 program, top 10 program, let's say. One name that and maybe this is just a little biased because I recently watched the SEC Netflix documentary, is Vanderbilt's head coach, Clark Lee.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
What he's done at Vanderbilt, I mean, they're one to watch the rest of the season. They're 3-0 right now. They just beat South Carolina 31-7. I believe South Carolina didn't have Sellers, but still, they had a great season last year, won a bowl game. Vanderbilt has been the laughing stock of the SEC forever. What he went in there and did, recruited. I mean, you get the Pavia from Diego Pavia. Those are the type of guys UCLA is also sort of in the running with a lot of the times, and you get the best out of someone like that. I know he's a Vanderbilt alum, so maybe it'd be tough to pull from there and ship him all the way across the West Coast to LA, but I got to imagine
he was a part of the 2006 UCLA football coaching staff. Just wanted to add that.
I didn't know that.
That was the 13-9 year. So he's experienced some Bruin magic. But sorry, go on.
I'd have to imagine just the last thing is UCLA. I mean, I know Vanderbilt's a private institution, but you'd have to be able to pay as a UCLA head coach better than a Vanderbilt head coach, in my opinion. So that's one name I think I wouldn't put him ahead of Jed Fish, in my opinion, or some other names we've thrown around, but it's one that I definitely want to keep my eye on just to see as their season unfolds.
Listen, if Kirk Cignetti can come and do it, if Kenny Dillingham at ASU, Jed Fish in his year at Arizona, these are all examples of guys who have been able to turn around programs, and Indiana was in the fucking college football playoffs in year 1.
Jonathan Smith at Oregon State, dude.
Yes.
These are all recent examples
Dan Lanning
of cursed programs that were turned around by the right guy. And right now,
Oregon State.
Yeah, UCLA right now is an Oregon State from where it was in 2018 or whatever it was that he got hired. Or, no, that was way after that. I think there's quality options. How many of them would take the call? I'm not sure because, there's a lot of challenges facing UCLA right now. And Kyle, I thought you brought up a great point where you want a head coach because it's not that a lot of these coordinator candidates wouldn't be able to take the position and coach good football games, but there's just so much more to this job now in this era and with the problems that UCLA has created for itself that need to be undone. You need a guy that is willing to take on a serious challenge. And you know who that might be? Who recently took on a big challenge and has been pretty successful? Deion Sanders, baby.
Prime time.
Is that unreal? I mean, they're not off to a great
Somebody
start.
mentioned it. One of our callers mentioned it.
They're not off to a great start. They had a kind of an ugly loss to
Hollywood.
They kind of had an ugly loss to Houston. But, man, I know we just talked about getting a guy and prioritizing attitude and culture just for the sake of rebuilding us. Could you imagine how sick that would be? Fuck. Even if we went
it would sell out.
Sold out. Honestly, if we sold out the Rose Bowl and got the recruits and we went like 7-6, I'd be like, fuck it, that's a huge win. 7 wins right now would be insane.
That game we played Colorado was like the most attended UCLA game in, I want to say, the last 5 years.
Yeah, that or LSU, probably Colorado.
Yeah, I think I looked at it during one of our first episodes for this, and I'm pretty sure it was 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But that'd be pretty damn sweet.
Yeah, dude. All right. Good opinions all around, boys. And to all of our hotline callers, can't appreciate you guys enough. What Keon mentioned earlier, wish we could feature you all. We all have full-time day jobs, so we're strapped with time running this show. But for those of you guys that call in, those of you that listen, especially in times like these, you make it all possible, and thank you so much. And next week is a bye week, so might get a little creative with what we cover. We'll for sure be talking some Northwestern in that preview, and maybe there's some insider news coming out on how Tim Skipper's running the football program at UCLA. Maybe he's our next head coach. Who knows? Martin Jarman's at the helm, baby.
If he beats SC.
Yeah, if he beats SC 111, Euro Bruin. Okay, that's all we got for you today. We'll catch you next week. Go Bruins.